On March 19, 2002, Gary McKinnon sat in his small London flat, scrolling through classified NASA files on his computer. He had been doing this for months, searching for evidence of UFOs and free energy technology that he believed the U.S. government was hiding. He used a simple script he wrote himself. It scanned for military computers with blank administrator passwords. It was shockingly easy. He accessed 97 military and NASA systems, including computers at the Pentagon right after September 11th. McKinnon thought he was invisible. He used his own internet connection and even left notes on government servers criticizing their security. Then one morning, his friend called him. The FBI had issued a warrant for his arrest. McKinnon's hands started shaking. His friend had been questioned by American investigators and told them everything. The person he trusted most had given him up to save himself. British police arrived at his door within hours. McKinnon was arrested and faced extradition to America, where he could receive 70 years in prison. His hacking had exposed massive security failures across the U.S. military establishment, embarrassing the government on a global scale. A Tunisian street vendor named Mohamed Bouazizi set himself on fire in protest. His death sparked nationwide riots against the corrupt government of President Zine El Abidine Ben Ali. The Tunisian government responded by blocking Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. They wanted to silence the protesters. They thought cutting internet access would stop the revolution. Anonymous, the hacker collective, decided to help. They launched Operation Tunisia on January 2, 2011. Anonymous hackers attacked government websites with massive DDoS attacks. They took down the presidential palace website, the prime minister's site, and the stock exchange. They created tools to help Tunisians bypass government censorship. They leaked government emails and passwords. But the Tunisian government fought back hard. They redirected citizen login attempts to phishing pages. They captured passwords and arrested dozens of activists. Anonymous tried to counter this, but the technical battle was brutal. Still, the chaos they created added to the government's collapse. On January 14th, Ben Ali fled the country. The revolution succeeded despite Anonymous' technical setbacks, but their efforts had kept international attention focused on Tunisia when the government tried to impose a media blackout. Sony Pictures Entertainment had been experiencing strange computer problems for weeks in November 2014. Systems were running slowly. Files were disappearing. IT staff blamed normal technical issues. Then on November 24th, employees arrived at work to find every computer screen displaying a skeleton image and a message from a group calling themselves Guardians of Peace. The entire network was locked. Over the following days, the hackers began releasing data. First came employee emails, then salary information, then unreleased films. Each leak was worse than the previous one. Sony executives scrambled to contain the damage, but had no idea who was attacking them or why. The hackers demanded Sony cancel the release of The Interview, a comedy film about assassinating North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. More leaks followed. Embarrassing executive emails appeared online. Thousands of social security numbers were exposed. The company's entire infrastructure collapsed. Then U.S. intelligence agencies traced the attack back to North Korea. The hack wasn't just corporate espionage. It was a state-sponsored attack designed to intimidate an American company into censorship. The FBI formally accused North Korea's Reconnaissance General Bureau. Sony initially pulled the film from theaters. The North Korean government had successfully weaponized hackers to influence American corporate decisions and censor American entertainment. In 2010, engineers at Iran's Natanz nuclear facility watched their centrifuges with pride. These machines enriched uranium, and Iran had installed thousands of them deep underground in a fortified bunker. The facility was completely isolated from the internet. No external connections existed. Iranian security officials believed this air gap made them completely safe from cyber attacks. They had learned from other countries' mistakes. Then the centrifuges started behaving strangely. They would spin too fast, then too slow. Engineers ran diagnostics, but found nothing wrong. The problems continued for months. Centrifuges began breaking down at an alarming rate. Hundreds of them destroyed themselves. Iranian scientists couldn't understand why. Finally, a computer security company in Belarus discovered malware on a client's system. They analyzed it and were stunned. The code was incredibly sophisticated. It specifically targeted Siemens industrial control systems. It was designed to sabotage centrifuges. Someone had created Stuxnet, the world's first cyber weapon. Iran's protective air gap had been defeated by a simple USB drive. Workers had unknowingly carried the virus into the facility on infected thumb drives. The United States and Israel had launched a cyber attack that destroyed nearly 1,000 Iranian centrifuges and set back Iran's nuclear program by years, all without firing a single shot. During the spring of 2016, DNC staff members noticed odd activity on their computer network. IT contractors investigated and discovered Russian hackers had penetrated their systems. Two separate groups were inside, Cozy Bear and Fancy Bear. Both worked for Russian intelligence agencies. The groups didn't even know about each other at first. They had both independently hacked the same target. The Russians had access to everything: emails, research files, donor information, strategy documents. They had been inside the network for almost a year. The DNC hired cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike to remove them, but the damage was done. In June, a hacker using the name Guccifer 2.0 began releasing stolen documents online. WikiLeaks published thousands of internal DNC emails in July, right before the Democratic National Convention. The emails revealed the DNC had favored Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders during the primary. The party chairwoman resigned in disgrace. More leaks followed throughout the campaign. The releases were strategically timed to cause maximum political damage. U.S. intelligence agencies later confirmed Russia orchestrated the entire operation to interfere with the American presidential election. The hack didn't just embarrass one political party. It exposed how vulnerable American democracy was to foreign cyber attacks and created a political crisis that continues to affect U.S.-Russia relations today. On February 15, 1995, FBI agents surrounded a Raleigh, North Carolina apartment building. Inside was Kevin Mitnick, the most wanted computer hacker in America. He had been running for years, breaking into corporate networks, stealing software, and cloning cell phones to avoid detection. The FBI had been chasing him since he violated his probation in 1992. Now they finally had him cornered. Mitnick heard the agents breaking down the door. He frantically tried to wipe his computers, but there wasn't enough time. The FBI burst into his apartment and tackled him to the ground. They seized his laptops, modems, and stacks of stolen corporate data. Mitnick was arrested and held without bail for 4 years before trial. Prosecutors claimed he was too dangerous to release. They said he could start a nuclear war by whistling into a phone. The claims were absurd, but the media ran with them. Mitnick became a symbol of how dangerous hackers could be. He eventually pleaded guilty to multiple counts of fraud and computer hacking. He served 5 years in prison, including 8 months in solitary confinement. When he was released in 2000, he was banned from using computers and the internet for 3 years. His case transformed how governments viewed cybercrime. Laws were changed. Penalties were increased. The FBI created dedicated cyber divisions. One hacker's arrest led to the complete restructuring of how America fought computer crime. In a Miami hotel suite in 2007, Gonzalez threw a birthday party for himself that cost $75,000. He wore a Rolex watch and drove a BMW. He showed off stacks of cash to his friends and bragged about being the greatest hacker alive. He had reason to be confident. For 3 years, he had been stealing credit card numbers on a massive scale. He compromised TJX companies, Barnes & Noble, and dozens of other major retailers. He stole over 170 million card numbers, the largest identity theft case in history at that time. What Gonzalez didn't realize was that the Secret Service had been watching him for months. His lavish lifestyle had attracted attention. Agents tracked his online activities and identified his co-conspirators. They discovered he was using SQL injection attacks to breach corporate databases. His own arrogance made him careless. He posted photos of his expensive lifestyle online. He used the same online handles repeatedly. He trusted too many people with details of his operations. In 2008, federal agents arrested him at the National Hotel in New York City. They found 1.1 million stolen credit card numbers on his laptop. Gonzalez had stolen hundreds of millions of dollars, but his need to show off his success led investigators straight to him. He was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison, one of the longest sentences ever given to a hacker. His bragging rights had cost him everything. In January 2011, protests against President Hosni Mubarak's regime were spreading across Egypt. The government responded on January 27th by doing something unprecedented. They shut down the entire country's internet. All four major internet service providers went dark simultaneously. Mubarak believed cutting off communications would stop the revolution. He thought it would prevent protesters from organizing and keep the world from seeing what was happening. But the blackout became Egypt's biggest mistake. Anonymous launched Operation Egypt to restore communications. They set up phone lines so Egyptians could call in and have their messages posted online. They attacked Egyptian government websites relentlessly. They leaked police documents showing government corruption. Most importantly, the internet shutdown made international headlines. The world watched in shock as an entire country went dark. Technology companies rushed to help. Google and Twitter created a speak-to-tweet service so Egyptians could post updates by phone. The blackout didn't stop the protests. It amplified them. International pressure on Mubarak intensified. The shutdown cost Egypt's economy $90 million and destroyed any remaining government credibility. On February 2nd, Mubarak was forced to restore internet access. 9 days later, he resigned and fled the country. The government's attempt to silence its people through technology had backfired spectacularly. Egypt's internet blackout became a case study in how not to handle digital dissent, proving that in the modern age, disconnecting a nation only connects the world against you.